If you want to get rich in normal business, you have to deliver a great product, on time and under budget, but in the world of American aerospace, that exact strategy will literally bankrupt you. What if I told you that the most profitable companies in defense aerospace don't make their billions by building ultra-advanced jets? They make their fortunes by failing, delaying, and letting costs blow completely out of control. It sounds like a financial crime scene, but it is entirely legal, and it is hiding right in plain sight. In fact, back in 2018, an internal audit revealed something that made forensic accountants gasp. A defense contractor was charging the government over $10,000 for a single, basic metal bolt. That cost less than $50 to manufacture. Anyone else doing this would end up in a federal prison cell. But for U.S. aerospace giants, it wasn't a scandal, it was just a regular Tuesday and a brilliant piece of business architecture. So, how do these corporate titans turn massive delays, overpricing, and logistical nightmares into guaranteed, risk-free multi-billion-dollar profits? Year after year, to understand this, you have to look past the impressive air shows and step inside the strange financial room where modern defense deals are made. Welcome to the world of the cost-plus contract, the holy grail of corporate profit in a normal free market economy. If you pay a builder $500,000 to construct a house, and they mess up, run over schedule, and ask for $2 million instead, you fire them, and you sue them, end of story. But in the aerospace defense world, the rules of gravity are completely inverted. Under a cost-plus contract, the government promises to reimburse the contractor for every single dollar they spend during production, plus a fixed percentage fee on top as their guaranteed profit margin. Do you see the terrifying incentive structure hidden here? If a giant aerospace firm works efficiently, cuts expenses, and finishes early, they spend less overall money, which means their fixed percentage profit is smaller. But if they make mistakes, if software glitches delay production for 5 years, if costs balloon by $10 billion, their cash payout explodes upwards. They are literally paid more for doing worse. But here is where the story gets really bizarre, because getting paid to spend money is only step one of the heist. To understand how this business actually compounds wealth, we have to look at a real-world case study, the most expensive military project in human history, the F-35 Joint Strike Fighter. When the contract was awarded decades ago, the goal was simple: build an affordable, versatile stealth jet to replace aging aircraft. The initial cost estimate was roughly $200 billion, a huge number, but manageable for a global superpower. Fast forward to today, and the total projected cost of the F-35 program has shattered $1.7 trillion. You would think the government would be furious. You would think heads would roll on Wall Street, and investors would run for the hills. Right? Wrong. The stock prices of the primary defense contractors involved shot through the roof. Because to a financial analyst, a cost overrun isn't a failure. It is 20 years of guaranteed, inflation-proof revenue, which brings us to the ultimate question: why doesn't the customer just cancel the order? Why not fire the contractor and give the money to someone else? Because the defense giants built a political trap so powerful, it makes them completely unkillable, and they call it distributed manufacturing. Imagine you are designing a brand new fighter jet. Instead of building the entire aircraft under one roof in a single efficient factory, you deliberately chop up the manufacturing process into thousands of tiny pieces, and you scatter those pieces across all 50 American states. The wings are built in Texas, the engines in Ohio, the cockpit glass in Massachusetts, the tiny microchips in Arizona, and the flight software in California. Why build a supply chain that is logistically chaotic and wildly expensive? Because you aren't just building aircraft parts, you are buying political insurance. Whenever a politician in Washington raises their voice and threatens to cut the budget for an overpriced aircraft program, the aerospace company instantly pulls a lever. They notify local news outlets in those specific states, warning voters that thousands of high-paying jobs are about to disappear overnight. Instantly, politicians from opposite political parties, who agree on absolutely nothing else, join hands and vote yes to keep the money flowing. The aerospace giants turned the United States Congress into their own personal sales team, paid for by the taxpayers. And yet, as impressive as this political shield is, it is not where the biggest money is made, not even close. If you think these companies make their billions selling jets, you are looking at the wrong business model. The airframe itself is just the hook. Consider this simple comparison. How does a company like HP make money on home printers? They sell you the physical printer at a remarkably low price, sometimes even at a financial loss, because they know you are trapped into buying their expensive, specialized ink cartridges for the next 10 years. In the defense aerospace industry, the fighter jet is the printer, and sustainment is the ink. Over a 40-year operational lifespan, the original cost to purchase a jet represents only 30% of the total money spent on it. The remaining 70%, hundreds of billions of dollars, goes directly into maintenance, replacement parts, system repairs, and software updates. And here is the proprietary lock-in. The aerospace company owns the intellectual property, the source code, and the specialized technical tooling. The military isn't even allowed to fix their own aircraft hardware, nor can they buy generic parts from an outside supplier. If a specialized circuit board inside the jet fails, the military cannot send it to a local technician. They must ship it back to the original contractor, who can charge virtually whatever price they want, because they hold a legal monopoly on every bolt, wire, and line of code inside that machine. It is the ultimate SaaS model, software and sustainment as a service, backed by the full financial power of a sovereign nation. So, if the contracts guarantee profits, and the supply chain prevents cancellations, and the maintenance generates endless subscription cash, what stops a nimble Silicon Valley tech company from stepping in and disrupting these slow-moving giants? The answer is a massive invisible wall known as regulatory capture. To even bid on a major defense contract, a company must navigate tens of thousands of pages of strict federal acquisition rules, maintain specialized secure facilities, and spend years obtaining high-level security clearances for thousands of engineers. A hot new tech startup might have brilliant AI flight code, but unless they can afford to spend 10 years and hundreds of millions of dollars just to pass administrative compliance audits, they cannot even enter the room. The legacy giants didn't just build a moat around their business. They convinced the government to fill that moat with regulatory concrete, making competition practically illegal. They sit on negative working capital, meaning the government pays them upfront to build facilities and conduct research, removing almost all private financial risk from their balance sheets, while standard commercial companies have to risk their own private capital to innovate. Aerospace giants use government grants for R&D, keep the intellectual property, and then charge the government again to buy the final product. It is a financial loop where the downside is completely socialized and the upside is entirely privatized. So, what do these companies actually do with these billions of dollars in risk-free cash flow? They don't hoard it in bank accounts, and they don't waste it on risky side ventures. They route it directly to Wall Street through massive stock buyback programs and steadily rising quarterly dividends. Defense aerospace firms have quietly outperformed broad market indices for decades, becoming the darling of institutional pension funds, hedge funds, and long-term investors, who love stability above all else. In a world filled with economic uncertainty, inflation, and market volatility, an aerospace balance sheet is an oasis, because war, tension, and defense spending do not follow normal corporate recession cycles. When the global economy struggles, defense spending stays flat or goes up. When geopolitical conflicts flare, defense spending goes up. It is a business that thrives on chaos. However, if you think this multi-billion-dollar money printer can run forever without a single glitch, think again. Because a quiet storm is gathering on the horizon, and it threatens to tear this entire model apart. For the first time in over half a century, the traditional aerospace playbook is facing a radical, existential threat from two completely unexpected directions. The first threat is a fundamental shift in the nature of modern warfare itself. Right now, inexpensive, autonomous, AI-powered drones, costing a few $1,000s each, are neutralizing high-value armor and air bases on modern battlefields, forcing military strategists to ask a terrifying question. Why spend $200 million and 15 years of development on a single ultra-complex manned aircraft if a swarm of 10,000 cheap, disposable drones can overwhelm the exact same target at a fraction of the cost? The entire business model of aerospace giants relies on high complexity, high cost, long timeline megaprojects. If the future of air power shifts to cheap, mass-produced, modular hardware, the multi-billion-dollar cost-plus gravy train grinds to a sudden stop. And the second threat is the arrival of aggressive, private capital disruptors. Companies like SpaceX completely disrupted the traditional space launch cartel by refusing to use cost-plus contracts, building hardware in-house, and selling launches at fixed, transparent prices that cut traditional costs by over 70%. Now, a new wave of defense tech startups, backed by billions in venture capital,